Hello everybody, my name's Jeff. Welcome back to the Vintage Workshop. This is going to be morning coffee 5. So it's Sunday morning, December 10th. It's freezing cold outside. I think it was about 20 degrees this morning. I came up here about 45 minutes ago, got the fire started. You can probably hear in the background I even set up the radiant heat tube, which creates heat from the roof coming on down just until the wood burning stove gets going, because it's winter time here. So anyway, it's been great to get back into the wood shop and do some work. Obviously we spent a little bit of time outside on the sawmill getting some logs sawed up. I still got a couple more out there to saw, but it's just really good to get back in the workshop and get back to making some videos and sharing some of this information with you guys. So let's dive into it. First of all, I want you all to know that I'm literally having a great time reading the comments from the videos that I'm posting. It's that interaction with you guys that I think that I enjoy the most about this, so please keep them coming. There's been some really good questions and a couple of good topics brought up that certainly merit further discussion. In fact, I want to cover one of those right away, because one of the things that I was unsure of whether or not I wanted to cover it in the last video, which was the Joiner Planer 101 video discussing how to properly use the joiner and planer to square up your stock and get it properly flattened. Brian Block, most of you guys know him. He's the guy that is restoring and rebuilding that massive barn down in Kentucky into just an awesome workshop. I will leave a link in the description to his site if you guys haven't checked him out yet, because it's really a lot of fun watching what that guy's doing. When he first started a few years back, I mean, I found his videos right away, and I literally thought he was crazy what he was trying to do, saying, oh, come on. But man, what a job he's done. Brian, way to go. So anyway, in the last video, Brian made a great comment about, you know, a really important part of the process of treating your lumber inside the shop, and that's regarding making sure that when you're getting ready to work the wood, that you don't go to the lumber yard, buy a bunch of lumber, bring it back to the shop, and go right to milling it. You guys have to let that wood get acclimated to the workshop first, and typically I have my drying shed down below, and when I bring wood up into the shop, I go ahead and stack it and sticker it up in the shop, literally for sometimes a month or more, to let it get acclimated. And it's really important to understand really all the parts that are a huge part of being successful with milling your own lumber, because if your moisture content inside the wood is not as dry as the shop environment that you're working in, you're going to have a big problem with that wood drying out on one side or both sides, and then starting to cup and warp on you all over again, often right in the middle of the project. I do spend a fair amount of time reading on the forums online, and I see this mentioned all the time by beginning woodworkers. A really good source for you guys, and I'm going to hold this up. I've had this book for a long time. This, to me, is literally what I would consider to be the Bible of understanding all about how to treat your lumber and how to properly work it and when to work it and how to use it before and after it comes from the lumberyard. It's called Understanding Wood by Bruce Hoadley. Most of you guys have probably heard about this before. You guys really need to read this if you're beginning woodworkers, because a lot of stuff that we're talking about here gets explained in great detail. Not only the why you need to do it that way, but also understanding the reasons for it. So get this book, it'll cover it really good for you. What I want to do now is I'm gonna take a break, and I'm gonna literally move you over to show you some of the stacks that I have inside the shop, so you get an understanding of what I'm talking about by stickering and stacking the wood correctly. So hang on. So here's a shot of the back wall in my shop, where one of the places where I store a lot of the lumber. And as you can see, that's a bunch of ash that I cut up last year. And it would dry down in the shed first, stacked just like this. And you can see running across the stacks of wood, those are stickers. It's really important for you guys to allow airflow on all sides of the wood, not just dead stack them, because I'm gonna pan you down there. Is wood I probably milled 15 years ago, and it's definitely dry, but I'm not getting ready to use it right now. So for the purpose of just storage, I've got it dead stacked. Dead stacked meaning boards on top of boards on top of boards, taking up utilizing maximum amount of space. But when you're getting ready to use wood, before you do that, you got to sticker it just like this so that the air is allowed to get around it so that it reaches equilibrium. And then you can see up on top is a small stack. That is the persimmon I use for boxing in my planes. And then down on the stack below, like right there, that's my finger sticking in the camera. Those are the last 4 big 33-inch 16-quarter billets I have of European beech. And that's what I use to make a lot of the planes that I make. So anyway, I wanted to show you that so that you had an understanding visually of what I was talking about. Okay, so also keep in mind that after you're done with the planer and joiner, you don't want to go right to work in the wood again. You want to go ahead and sticker it and stack it again for a day or two, because removing some of the outer shell of those boards is going to occasionally allow some movement. So what I always do is I go ahead, and if I'm looking for 7/8 inch final dimension lumber for building a cabinet or something like that, I'll go ahead and mill the 5/4 boards that I'm using to get there down to like 1 inch. I'll sticker it and stack it again, just like I showed you over on the wall. Let it sit for usually 48 or 72 hours, and then I will go ahead and go through the entire process all over again, removing that final 1/8 inch, getting it down to close to final dimension, and I always leave just enough so that when I'm all finished, I can go ahead and hand plane everything smooth, because that's going to remove a few thousandths of wood as well. And you don't have to leave a lot, but you always don't want to end up where your project has a bunch of boards that are all too thin just because you didn't allow for it in your milling process. So wanted to cover that. Also, I also wanted to cover the fact that there's been quite a few new machines and new tools that I got into the shop this year, and didn't get a chance to show you that throughout the year. And sometimes you guys like to see that, so I wanted to go over that with you. I'm going to start right here at the bench, just because it's right where I'm at right now. So I've got both saws right here, and this one is a cherry-handled crosscut saw, and it's filed for cross-cutting across the grain. And it's basically its perfect mate is this one with a walnut handle. It's the exact same size 16-inch tenon saw, and this one is for ripping. So if you're doing tenon work, you would use this for cutting down to the cheeks, and then you would use this to cross-cut down the cheeks as well, down to get your final size tenons, and we've showed that in previous videos. So another tool that I picked up that was used, and I've been needing to upgrade the one that I've had for a long time, I ended up finally finding one that I felt was worthy of me going ahead and going through a restoration process on it. This is an old school Greenlee draw knife. I found this on the auction site, had it delivered to me. It was unfortunately mistreated pretty badly, as most of you guys know is often the case, but the handles are in good shape. It didn't look like it had been used very much. Some guy I think he took like an angle grinder or something to it, trying to sharpen it. Guys, don't take angle grinders to your woodworking tools. I mean, save those for your lawnmower blades. I mean, this is a really nice tool that almost got ruined. So I'm not done with it yet. I've been acquiring the bevel because it was like a wavy ocean. But I've been working at it on the stones slowly but surely. It's not completely ready. I mean, it's pretty sharp right now. You could actually use it the way it is, but I like my tools, all of them. I figured do the work once, get it laser sharp, and then you're ready to go. Also, we had our, I know you guys have probably sick and tired of hearing about Arnfest, but we had our big Arnfest gathering this year, and my good buddy Keith Rucker came up from Georgia, and I got a chance to spend a weekend with him and a lot of other guys that I've become really good friends with from that particular OWWM community. And I have been coveting for a very long time one of these. There's a guy who's a valued member of the forum. His name is Bob Vaughn, and he's, besides a fantastic wood turner and machinery rebuilder, he also every year donates tools to the auction for the purpose of supporting the community. And the last 3 years I've been getting his screwdrivers that he's been making, but I've been trying to get one of his mallets, and these are raffled off, so you basically got to win a raffle, and these are usually the first things that go. And this year I was one of the early winners in the raffle, so I was able to pick up a hickory carving mallet that he turned. He makes these every year, and finally got one, so I was really happy about that. Another one of the highlights of Arnfest every year is the Saturday morning swap meet. And this year I took Keith's lead for the first time, and I actually participated. I did a little bit of prep work. I had a lot of miscellaneous tool parts and tooling, and I had an arbor press I wanted to move on because I ended up acquiring a bigger one. And I also acquired some new welding equipment this year, so I had one of my really good quality but lesser in size MIG welding machines, and I also had a blade welding machine because I had two of them. Ended up doing a trade deal with Keith Rucker on that. So I ended up selling a bunch of stuff, and because of that I ended up getting some cash, and I was able to turn that cash into a few other tools that I needed that I'm going to be able to use more frequently up in the shop. So let me show you those. So as you guys can see, I'm a Miller guy when it comes to welding equipment, and the machine on the left and the machine on the right, the big tall guy, are two machines that I acquired this year basically as upgrades to equipment that I already had. I got really great deals on both of them. I've been looking for a long time. The machine on the left, you guys already saw that in the first round of the smoker build, which you see the propane tank there behind the little Thunderbolt. And that machine is a Miller-Matic 200. It's a MIG welder for MIG welding. It is a great old school machine. It was built in 1989. Got it in great shape, and that is basically a 270 amp welding unit for MIG welding. Can handle steel up to 1 inch. I do a lot more thicker projects now, especially with the construction company, with concrete raising business, and doing repair work and stuff like that. So needed a bigger capacity machine. The previous MIG welder that I replaced kind of maxed out at about a 1/4 inch, so needed more capacity there. The machine in the middle, that's a machine I've had for a very long time. That's a Thunderbolt XL. I bought that brand new about 6 or 7 years ago. Great stick welder, AC, DC. It's got DC electrode positive as well as DC electrode negative. That's the machine that I have been doing all my cast iron welding with for probably, since I bought it. Before that I had an old Tombstone AC, DC welder, but I had passed that along to one of my employees. The big machine on the right I just acquired a couple of weeks ago. That is a 1981 Miller 330 ABP. Guys, these are the workhorses. This is a massive transformer type machine. It weighs 900 pounds. That is a stick, AC/DC stick and TIG machine, and I need a TIG welder to do some aluminum repairs on an upcoming machine repair that you guys are going to see in the channel. And you can see down below it came with the foot pedal. It came with the argon gas flow meter, which is sitting up on top of the unit. It also came with a stick, stick holder, as well as a 50-foot ground lead. Both of those are 50-foot long. Those cables are very expensive. And on the right side, hanging down, you can probably see. Let me see if I can zoom in on it for you. There's a TIG torch right there, as you can see. It's not water cooled. I probably will be getting a water cooled one. But at any rate, I still have the ability to use that for now for shorter welds. And this is a great machine. These things are rated, it's a 100 amp supply machine, so you need a lot of welding capacity in the shop, which I have here. It also produces, it's an AC/DC welder that produces up to 435 amps. So really a serious workhorse, and it was a major upgrade. And I took the money that I sold all the equipment for at Arnfest and basically put it into these two machines. So it was kind of like an even swap for me, money in, money out. So right now I am going to be listing the AC/DC Thunderbolt XL, the little guy in the middle. When I say little, I only mean in size, because that thing is really a great welder. It's I put the roller kit on it, and that's basically a 200, I think it's 225 amps, 225, 150. There's not much it won't handle. So good machine, but I definitely needed to get the TIG machine going, and because of that it automatically comes with stick capabilities. And since I am not running a professional welding shop here, I don't need 2 stick welders, so I'm going to go ahead and find somebody who wants that. In fact, I'm going to put that on Craigslist tomorrow morning. So let's move on to another recent acquisition. So every once in a while something happens, or you hear about a story about somebody acquiring something and you go, wow, how come that never happens to me? Well, it finally happened to me, guys. A couple of weeks ago, a fellow OWWM member had contacted me regarding the fact that he had purchased this drill at a auction which is local to me, and he's from the Atlanta area. And I think when he bought it, he may have not realized how big it was, or the fact that it's 1,510 pounds. This machine is 8 feet tall, and it's a drill press. Most drill presses you see are generally about half this size or less, weigh about 200, 300, 400 pounds for industrial drill presses. This is a massive Leland-Gifford #2 multi-speed. It's wired. The motor is a 440 volt only motor, so I've got some work to do with acquiring a transformer for that. But he had contacted me and literally said the auction house needed it gone, or they were going to dump it in a dumpster. I contacted the auction house, which was at a high school not too far from me, roughly about an hour away. Drove down there. We monkeyed around for 5 or 6 hours getting this thing. It was laying on its side, so we had to basically monkey around with getting it put on my trailer. They did have a forklift, but there were some difficulties in material handling. I'll just leave it at that. But after a long day of moving this thing around, I hauled it home, got it in the shop, stood it upright with help from my son, and there you have it. This is a workhorse. These things are ultra precision sensitive drills. I haven't gotten a chance to run it yet. It hasn't run since 1984, so it's a project, but it was given to me. Nothing. I mean, I didn't have to pay anything. I am going to have to put some money into it to get it running. I've been looking around for a transformer. That'll be a few $100s. Then I'm going to have to more than likely get an electrician involved so that I get the transformer wired correctly. 440 volts is not something to be taken lightly, and I've managed to live to 53. I plan on making it a lot longer, and I'm just not going to take the chance. So I'm going to get a guy involved who knows what he's doing with a transformer to get this thing wired up. This is a 4-speed motor in the head. It's all done electronically. You know what? I'm going to take you around back just to give you an idea of what the electronics are on this thing, because I had no idea what I was getting, and I've been doing some research, and I'm absolutely amazed by the precision engineering that has gone into making this drill. So hang on a second. Okay, I don't know how well you can see this. I've got a light shined in there, but it is kind of dark. This is the rear cast iron column. It's 1/2 inch thick cast iron column. And the entire inside of the cast iron column is all the electronics for the speed controls. You're looking at an electronic bank that works. I haven't really completely figured it out yet, but I'm in the process of working on it. There's a cable that goes from the front of the machine to the rear and electronically shifts the different speeds. The speed ranges on this are from 150 RPMs all the way up to 1800 RPMs for basically drill and throw a whole bunch of different types of materials. And as you go down, there's a control transformer as well as the magnetic starter down in the bottom. So the entire 7-foot column, because this thing expands up to 8 feet up at the motor up there, but the entire rear column of this is all electronic control. So I've got some figuring out to do, but once I get it figured out, get a transformer in here, get it wired up, get it properly lubricated, we should have an unbelievable machine for doing metalworking, and I'm starting to do more and more of that. We haven't showed any videos yet, but trust me, they're coming. So I just wanted to share that with you. And finally, what I wanted to do is just give you a quick shot of what's going on in the shop, because right now my shop is in utter and total disarray, transitioning over from concrete season back into shop season, which is now. Right here I've got a whole stack that I just brought up from the drying shed. This is a bunch of 10-quarter and 12-quarter ash. I'm going to be building another workbench for the workshop. I'll discuss that in another video all by itself. But I got that wood all stacked and stickered and ready to go. On top of it is some cedar. I need to make a new gate for the fence to our pool down by the house, and I'm going to go ahead and span around just to give you an idea of what a train wreck it is in here. It's unbelievable. You can see the Yates American Snowflake, which we're going to be starting to restore here. And let me move you around. Hopefully I don't joggle this around too much. You can see I've got stuff everywhere. And that's all going to change very soon, because this week, before I get started on any projects, we are going to do a major move. I think I've showed you guys the metalworking stuff, but hang on just a second. You can see right here in front of me where the joiner and planer are. This setup is just not working for me. So what I want to do is do some machinery rearranging that is going to enhance workflow inside the shop. Let me show you. So as you can see, this front mess in the shop right now is the metalworking area. I've got the Monarch lathe. I've got you're looking at the back side of the Kearney and Trecker mill. I've got the bandsaw, the dual bandsaw right over there. And this area is extremely cluttered. And I need to move this out of this area, use this area for more woodworking machines, and get the metalworking machinery, which I don't use as frequently as the woodworking machinery, over in the middle of the shop, so I have better workflow on this half of the shop. So we're going to be doing a major overhaul, and that lathe and that mill are going to be moved. The mill is going to be over in front of the door, and the lathe is going to be over where the planer is. And then I'm going to put all my grinders and the big bandsaw on the back side of the lathe, and that's going to open up 2/3 of the shop for better workflow for woodworking back in here, where I've got everything all cluttered up getting ready for the move. So sorry about all the bounciness, but I wanted to just let you guys know what's going on, so that when you see some new videos, you're going to see the fact that we've moved everything around. Okay everybody, so thanks for hanging in there and riding along with me on this Morning Coffee 5 session. I'm going to head down to the house here in a little while and watch the Bears blow another one. Boy, if you guys are football fans, it's been a tough year on us Bear fans. They're pretty bad, but I have high hopes for our new young rookie quarterback. So at any rate, enough about that. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will see you really soon with the next video. I'm probably going to post a video with some of the shenanigans involved with moving all this machinery around in the shop. And as soon as we get this thing situated, we're going to dive in headfirst with the Yates American Y30 Snowflake and start getting that thing restored so we can get it put to use. So we'll see you real soon, and as always, please hit that like button. That really helps the channel get recognized, as well as anytime you guys feel like sharing this on Facebook or Instagram or with any of your friends, by all means, please feel free to do so. It helps the channel out immensely. The more views we get, the more interesting the channel can become. So for now, we'll see you guys real soon. Thanks again. Take care.